thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. You muster all your strength and yell. Your dehydrated, hungover throat can produce little more than a dry croak. A lifetime of smoking and drinking will do that to you. The chatter from the chimney continues on as before. You seem to have made no impression on whatever's up there. Then again, maybe it's worth actually trying something up there.
Maybe you should let your voice rest, officer. Try again later.
Tiles on the cube are still smoldering. The filament slides out. An iron safety curtain curves before your eyes, folded like a bellows. It covers half the room, blocking the way into a colossal industrial chimney. This must be where the entity lives. This is directly above the central furnace in the cellar. The voices probably came from here. Again, your voice becomes a raspy croak mid-sentence. It's silent in the abandoned office building. No one answers you. Sire, may we suggest something? Think of the yelling into the furnace as a grand performance. Use your chest voice, not your head voice. Sing from the diaphragm. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it pitch black. Another pathetic yelp sounds off into the vast darkness of the chimney. You're a little embarrassed you produced it. A thick layer of coal dust covers the furnace, coloring it. Something breaks loose in you. A mighty bellow echoes throughout the chimney's depths. The chatter of tiny voices above suddenly cease. Then,
Hello?
you've awakened the entity.
Hello? Did you say anything? I can't hear you. Please come upstairs. There's a safety curtain on the second floor. I'll open it.
You hear a low rumble upstairs, the sound of a curtain being pulled aside.
After you, officer.
Hello, I'm Nia. Did you try knocking on my window? I must have missed you. I've been listening to my Milius. So what kind of dye are you looking for?
Could this be the malicious entity? Perhaps it's wise to go along with this masquerade for now. She's got a direct view to the backyard. You should interrogate her about the lynching.
Yes, Amelie is like a call-in station. You need a two-way radio to access one. That's why I have these. Mostly, they just teach you to swear in different languages. But some of the stations can be quite interesting. I was so absorbed, I must have missed you knocking. Then how did you get inside? By the south entrance? You know what? It doesn't even matter. What matters is that you're finally here. Let's talk dice. Did you have something specific in mind? I'm a novelty dice maker. Tell me the name of your role-playing system and I'll make the die you need. That's why you're here, yes?
Role-playing games? You know the one made by Fortress Accident. Does that count?
Very good. My rate is 10 real per set, unless you want something really unusual. Take a look around and see if there's any particular stone you want to use.
It almost looks as if the stones and dice are a natural part of the room, growing out of the shelves like stalagmites. No falsehoods are present. She's a novelty dice maker and doesn't have anything to hide. Ask what you need.
How did I become one? It was a business decision. I was a regular jeweler at first, but that's an unfocused field with too much competition. Some of my friends were role players. They asked me to make some polyhedral dice out of cobalt. That was my first order. I grew it from there. Not especially. I like working with rare materials and a steady pay. And role players as customers? They're nice people.
Some of those nice people have big bucks to spend on novelty items.
Nothing really. I didn't know him.
Who cares about the dead body? We might be dealing with a malignant entity here. The lieutenant looks at his notebook, then the woman under the large window.
Your window looks directly onto the courtyard. You're saying you didn't see or hear anything unusual last Sunday evening?
I'm sorry, detective, but as you know, I usually have my headphones on when I'm working. It shuts out most of the daily ruckus behind my window. Well, there's always something going on in the Whirling's backyard. During daytime, there are usually those kids. And lately, I've been seeing a lot of drunk workers hanging about. Must be because of the strike.
She's heard of the murder, but did not see it, sire.
But I never saw anyone during that fateful Sunday night, I'm afraid. I might have, but in this case, all I would have seen is my own reflection staring back from the darkness.
It's light here, but dark in the yard at night.
It's really hard to make anything out in the yard when it's dark outside. Besides, I rarely get up to look out the window when I'm in the zone. It's an odd profession, making dice for people, but I like it, and I prefer doing this to sitting at home.
She nods.
Anything else, officer? We're inside the chimney of an old central furnace. It's strange, I know. But when I arrived here, all the other rooms were taken, so I had to build myself a makeshift home. Besides, I don't really have to pay any rent here, so that's a plus.
Plaisance was right. There's an entity living in the chimney. You should ask her about the curse.
Creative.
More or less. Are you interested in anyone specific?
Oh, quite a lot of them spring to mind.
Oh, right. I hope you didn't try to ring me. I think none of those doorbells work, including mine. I'm still in the middle of connecting the wires. Sorry about the confusion.
The doorbell with the empty name card must belong to her then.
That's right. I haven't even written my name there. As I said, it's quite useless right now. It doesn't work yet. You could say so. Both houses were built at the same time and under the East Delta Commerce Center project. That explains why you can call the whirling from the intercom, albeit I doubt that anyone responds.
If the whirling is part of the same building, then it's part of the doomed commercial area. The darkness of this place is there, too.
Right, it used to be a gaming arcade. This is an ancient failure, before my time. I'm not surprised, however. My advice? Don't base your business on a fad. Hypnotism, florography, trick-track, especially pinball.
Agreed. Pinball is the worst.
It can't be true. They don't work here anymore. They've been gone for years. Are you sure it was Slipstream SEA? Was it a woman? Maybe it was Plaisance from the bookstore. Oh, right. But did this person say anything? Tricentennial Electrics? It used to be a major electric company 100 years ago. Are you sure it wasn't just some kids playing a prank on you?
No, it was something else. It was eerie. It was too real to be just a prank. Either we're dealing with a professional actress, or whatever happened, keep your cool. It's probably better to admit that it was a harmless prank.
A prank is more likely, no? Oh, the kids these days. We were just one of them, and now they're terrorizing us. No solidarity. Sure, I'm listening. Yes, I think it was called Androgynous Orlando or something similar. They weren't a big hit around here. Turns out that working class men don't like genderless haircuts. They're scared of that word.
A bit of experimenting every now and then isn't bad. It's not about the haircut, it's about the confidence.
I guess it just wasn't the time yet. It wasn't merely a gym, it was Artemiteps Boxing Club, a community project created to steer at-risk youth away from drugs and crime. A kind man from Zemsk. I heard he had some trouble with the law when he was younger, and that's why he wanted to start the gym, as his way of giving back. Kuno. Who's Kuno? Oh yes, you mean the kid with the sailor's mouth. Yes, I've heard him yelling profanities in the backyard. I think it would take more than a gym to help that kid. It didn't. If anything, it made the youth situation in Martinez even worse. At some point, someone started a rumor that the punching bag downstairs was full of amphetamines.
It's not really full of that. No one would store their drugs like that.
Eventually, the coalition took away the funding and the club went bankrupt. This was a few years ago. It's gotten much more peaceful around the plaza ever since. Oh, this one's a mess. There used to be a company that promised to repair windows 24 hours a day. What could go wrong with this one, right? Turns out, the business was actually set up as a front for an illicit group that was producing snuff medias. Who would have guessed?
What's the snuff, Milia?
And they never cleaned up the debris either. Now it's just littering the hallway and I have no idea how to get rid of it on my own. It's a Sub Rosa radio station that broadcasts real murders with real victims. Some people pay good money to get off on it.
Nothing changes in her tone as she says that, as if it's just another piece of information to lay out for the world.
Don't worry, the ICP has a separate division that deals exclusively with unlicensed sub-roses. This isn't our problem.
Good luck with that. It's not easy catching those perpetrators. You mean Mr. Fabron, the taxidermist? No, he mostly just did drugs. Anything else? There used to be a fashion atelier here, but I have forgotten the head designer's name. They were doing well for a couple of years, until the insect rights activists came. The atelier produced a certain collection that used chitin among the materials. Apparently chitin is made in the Occident, where it's extracted from beetle wings. And you know how all kinds of political movements are big in the Occident. The activists shut down the biggest chitin supplier, which of course caused the price to skyrocket. And, naturally, all the most fashionable tastemakers refused to be seen in chitin from then on. The atelier went bankrupt before they could finish the collection. Really? Anyway. They were made by a company called Slipstream. After they pivoted from making rotor blades to skis, their chief executive took off on a vacation with all their money. Honestly, I think it's quite funny. I think he's still sending out holiday transmissions from Tulula or Tiumotiri or Hashtkor or wherever he is. The usual, I imagine. That he's been thinking up all kinds of new business plans and can't wait to get started on them just as soon as he returns.
Men like that are a curse.
Sure, but Slipstream is history now. All their remaining assets got seized by the bailiffs in 47. I have no idea why those skis and blades are still lying around in the house. Not much use now, I guess.
They were just the props. Why return them?
Fortress Accident, the radio game studio. They were an interesting bunch. We talked about role-playing systems every now and then. Once, I even saw two of them get into fisticuffs over Wirral.
That's understandable. Fantasies are serious things. The mind is the drawing board of history.
They certainly took their work very seriously, even if they seemed to be chronically liberal with their schedules. The usual, they ran out of money and couldn't get the project done on time. Well, I did hear them talking at times. They seemed to believe they were historical individuals on some grand quest.
She sounds almost mocking when she says that.
Yes, but when the money started to run out, they just began to complain a lot about capitalism. You know, how the markets are rigged to keep out new businesses and so on. In the end, they just didn't get it done. They didn't have enough willpower to produce something truly historic and to show up to work on time. Still, not everyone is going to make it. That's the nature of the game.
The dice is black and filled with little silvery flakes, like snowfall.
Anything else? Oh boy, the fabled Revo Show ICT. You're in for a treat here. The place was owned by two guys who had some rather innovative ideas about marketing. The bear was one of them. Now ask me about their other ideas.
Indeed, What were the other ideas?
There was really just one, and it involved picking out the prettiest girls in the neighborhood and paying them 20 cents per hour to man the booth. And by man the booth, I mean slump behind the counter with a face that could maim you if you ever dared to disturb their bored magazine browsing. Oh, but they did. They did show up to work, and not alone. There were also acne-ridden girlfriends and gorilla-like boyfriends loitering near the ice cream stand. And they already had the bear. The bear. Of course not. The bear was terrifying. No one wants ice cream guarded by a hostile apex predator. To make matters worse, the fridge didn't work too well either, and half the ice cream came out malformed and partially melted. Eventually, Ravishell Ice City lost the price war to its rival, Glace 5000. Glace 5000 sold caramel sundaes for only 5 cents a piece, out of regular fridges. You did what? Of course they left it plugged in. Even in death, the bear is costing them money. The taxidermist who made it said it was his vision beast. He said he met his vision beast while high on desiccants. He called it Megatherion.
Sounds cool. Why is everyone doing drugs in this place? Even the taxidermist?
Megatherion, a mega wild beast. It's an imaginary beast that guides you through life by telling you to do more drugs, mostly. Understandable, you shouldn't do them. You're a police officer after all. Anyway, now you know the story of the fallen ice cream empire. Anything else? Another failed business, perhaps? I'm pretty sure it still doesn't work, but sure, what do you want to know? Sure, I'm listening. Good, I hope it clarified things a bit. What else? I've heard the stories, but I don't think those stories are true. Plaisance, the bookshop lady? I've heard that her business is doing rather well. Have the energies spared her somehow? Oh, right. But it's not just the bookstore that's still up and running. What about the whirling in rags? Some people say it's part of the building complex. And then there is me. I've been here for 14 years, selling novelty dice to role-playing enthusiasts. Not exactly a million-real business idea, yet somehow I've survived despite the talk of malicious energies. Strange, isn't it?
Maybe it's just because she's so talented that she's been able to woo the curse.
What, so the curse only affects people with poor work ethics? What you're describing isn't a curse, it's capitalism.
Time has come to face the source. Fear not, for the forces of the universe are supporting you in this psychic quest.
Exactly. Truth is always so disappointingly mundane and boring. But I'm glad we got this sorted out. Anything else I can help you with today?
That's all she has to say on the subject. She's been thorough and truthful as far as we can see.
I'm listening. Good. I hope it clarified things a bit. What else?
You're alive and well. Don't keep me waiting now. What's in there? In that dark sarcophagus? Yes, yes. How was it?
Tell her how ghastly it was. You know it's what she wants to hear.
I knew it. Oh, such horrors that have been thrust upon us. But what else did you find? Did anything survive? No, of course not. Have you located the entity? A novelty dice maker? Well, spit it out. Why does she need the dice? For some kind of sorcery? Sometimes they use the ankle bones of sheep. I don't understand. If it's not her, then where is the source of the doom? How did she explain the curse?
The narrative she's built herself, it does need tearing down. She's squeezing on the pendant too tight. A drop of blood in her palm. Just don't say you don't have any answer yet. The uncertainty is killing her. To hell with it. Perchance you ought to just lie, sire.
A third order presence, yes. I've heard of these triactors. In certain occult literature, that's too dark to dwell on for too long, and definitely not in the presence of my daughter. I understand everything, sir. Thank you for your descending into the maelstrom. I will keep fort up here, strengthen the wards, do my best. And if you happen upon the third entity in your travels, may the Lord be with you.
Well, this has been absolutely educational. If we happen on the third presence in our travels, we will certainly come back to tell you.
Yes, the venture continues. In other waters, darker waters.
Should we get out of here before the vortex collapses?
Welcome to Revachol.
Don't you welcome to Revachol me. My grandfather came here from a 3,000-year-old racist isolationist culture, while your ancestors came to this island a mere 300 years ago. Every school of thought and government has failed in the city, but I love it nonetheless. It belongs to me as much as it belongs to you. It's men like you who keep Revachol divided, making it that much harder for everyone to climb out of this post-war limbo.
What he means is, fixation on the Revacholian nation makes it harder for Revachol to actually attain self-determination.
Oh, come on, man. I just said welcome to Revachol. It's a lorry driver thing.
I know exactly what you meant. You think my kind doesn't belong here, that I should watch myself and behave. But you see, I'm an officer of the RCM. It's actually my job to make sure you behave. I would advise you to remember that.
Silence. The air between them becomes tense. Your partner needs backup. Now's your moment to shine.
You two make a cute couple. You know that?
The lieutenant exhales and resumes his regular calmness.
Whatever you say, officers. Oh, not much anymore. I'm here to pick up some cargo, but the dock workers are on strike, so it's a sit and wait on your ass situation. The strike? Oh, they've been at it for a while. A month, 2 months maybe. But this here is just the last week or so. Apples.
Apples is exactly the kind of thing you'd say if you had something to hide.
Look, as detective. I come from a long line of lorrymen. We got ancient rights and privileges. Oh, I'm here to pick up a load of fucking apples, man. Just regular, Koiko picked apples.
Koiko may be another derogative for a person from Grad, you think.
Yep, it's one of their main exports. They grow him down South Yekokata. A beautiful place. Got great scenic vistas.
In fact, Yekokata is a desolate wasteland whose name literally translates to Zone of Ecological Catastrophe. It features no scenic vistas and supports virtually no plant or animal life.
Yeah? Says who? Then, I guess they grow apples somewhere else. You can never really tell with those koikos. They're everywhere, except their own homes.
He means the people living in Grad.
Yeah, you know, Gradniks, Gradvolk, those degenerates from Grad. 'Cause that's what they're all called. Koiko Pichik, Loslav Koiko, Koikovich someone. Low self-esteem, those guys have. Mind you, they look Occidental, but they're not really like us. Hey, if the name and description fit by the very grace of nature, who am I to say otherwise? Apples. Oh yeah, they're a big deal. My great-grandfather was a carter, had a royal license and everything. We've tried to hold on to our privileges. Sure fucking is. We have a guild and everything, huh? Very ancient, very prestigious. Hell no, it's a guild. Invitation only. Unions work for the rich fucks. They're basically the same. Been trying to fuck us out of our heritage in the name of profit, but you can't replace experience. Trusting street thugs with their goods is going to fuck 'em right up the ass. Mark my words. Generations of practice and no laughing matter.
You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are transparent, except for the big Fritta slogan on the back. A small cabinet on the wall is filled with various medicine bottles, nasal sprays, and blister packs. They all bear the Saint-Baptiste Pharmaceutics logo. Their logo is the bloodless rose, pure white, untouched by harm.
Just ask me if you need anything from Saint Baptiste. We don't stock prescription meds, but we do have Nosafed, Duramine, Magnesium, and Hypnogamma. Welcome to Frit. Feel free to look around or something. Everything is out on the shelves.
What's that magazine she's reading?
You mean this? This is Pop Stars. It's got, like, famous people in it. It's not for sale.
Looks like it also has something called Police de la Mode, featured on page 34. This speaks to you.
It's where they rate different outfits famous people wear. It's kind of funny. They're kind of mean. It's about who's the most stylish. Benita. She's a model. Usually it's a model. Or a singer-songwriter. Or a model.
We are not the fashion police. We're the real police.
Okay. I'm not really supposed to be chatting to anyone, but... A warehouse? I don't know. Maybe. I don't really care what Frit does.
She scrunches up her face into an expression of consummate adolescent skepticism.
Fine. Frit doesn't have a warehouse. Just a little back room here. Okay? I don't really know anything. I mean, I know it's there, but I haven't seen it, so... Not really. No. I didn't know him at all. I don't know, really... long. I don't know.
No need to worry. It's just standard procedure for us to ask around. If you hear anything, let us know, okay?
Okay. Uh-huh.
A colorful display of cigarettes and alcohol bottles line the shop wall, inviting you closer. The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign says, 1 bottle equals 10 cents.
Oh, that's the tear machine. It's a machine for tear. You know, you find tear outside, like bottles or whatever, and put it in the machine, then it gives you money. You need a bag, I guess. We used to have some, but we gave them all out, so... Feel free to use it if you find a bag, though. I'm sure there are some out there.
The tear machine stands in... the right to work! A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept for such an old machine. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. Proclamations about honor, strength, and purity are glued to various panels. The back end of the cabin has a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several suns and wheels sewn into the curtains. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man. The title reads, Man from Eamdal in the Lost City of the Pygmies.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. This is our guy. Likely, yes. This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
Scab?
You're hazy on the notion of a scab. Smells like politics, though. Maybe it's got something to do with the flask he reaches for from time to time.
A kind of a worm, content with mere survival. They come, they want to do our job for shittier pay, screwing over both themselves and us. Everybody loses. Beats me. Somewhere in the ground, I think. Gotta be bloody stupid or freaking evil to scab. Or I guess scared, maybe. But scared of what? Of who? Personally, I'd rather beg than scab. If the gentleman shouting on the street came begging, maybe they'd have gotten something. We've explained the matters, but they don't listen. This lot would be reasonable and go home if the big guy wasn't riling them up all the time. I was just messing with you. No one's ever seen a cop scab. Imagine, you cops going on a strike, but then another cop comes in and says, let us cop for less money. Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the wild north? Come to see the strife? Murder, huh? That sounds like a lot of hard work. You'd never see me investigating a murder. Of course, Policia. It wasn't me. You can rule me out. Easier that way.
He didn't do it. It's the truth.
The little boy had a good on his promise. To get me into trouble. To sick the pigs on me. Pardon the choice of words. Not mine.
What happened?
I was asked to look into that armor situation. Official union probe, you know. Track it down, see who took it.
Did you?
At first I thought, why not? Maybe the pieces can feed the strike. Buy us a few more days under the sun, you know? So I went to this boy. He said he'll make me his prison bitch. He's got eyes everywhere, the cops in his pocket, and he's the king of Jamrock. Serves me right for doing menial footwork. I dropped that probe right then and there, and it still got me into trouble. I learned that people don't want to talk to a drunk union man about some armor.
What else?
Not much. Technical stuff mostly. That was the interesting part. I did some research into this armadura. Let's say I have friends at the library. I didn't get into the material science, just how it comes off.
How does it come off?
In parts. 4 in total. The helmet was the first to go. The kid says he tore it off and kicked it into the sea. I believe him. The boots were still on the guy last I saw. Too hard to remove. So, as I count, there are 2 parts missing. The gauntlets and the cuirass. This is where I left off. Too much hassle. More like a job for some militia. Oh, they're just gone. They don't exist anymore, if they ever did at all. Forget about them. I did.
Nice and balanced. Some junior officers can take care of the rest.
Smart choice. It's only that one spot you need armor too. The one the bullet hits. Good luck if you go for those boots though. You'll have an easier time wresting the spurs off a boyadero than getting them off him. It's a minor nuisance. It's all good. No problem. If you see that kid, thank him from Call Me Mañana. Thank him for showing me the way. Body still hanging in the tree? Hey, that's a rough pickle. Can't help you with that, sorry. I'm not really an admirer of dead bodies. Might be someone else from the Union can render assistance. I don't operate in that capacity. I'm not a granter of passage. The passage grants itself.
If it's all so simple, why don't the strikebreakers just go up the stairs?
Aye. Walk right past Measurehead and go in. Yeah, the 2.5 meter tall Semini Supremus is there. Walk right past him, then press the button to unlock the door, then go past him again, and you enter the arbor through the office. Está. Don't worry, I'm sure it's not completely impossible. For example, you could best Measurehead in a physical confrontation, or you could convert to a Semini Supremacist worldview, or maybe it actually is completely impossible. Not yet, no. He's incredibly strong. Jean-Luc himself would say the philosophy has proven overly heroic for the scabs to convert to. Not enough intuition. Sure. You know, serious business. I'm sure the big boss will be glad to tell you. You'll have to ask him first.
He's a chatty guy. Wants to talk about the strike. Return once you've met the Union boss and are on a better footing with the organization.
Nobody betrays your degeneracy.
Yeah, Measurehead. His body totally betrays his degeneracy.
Are you admiring my morphophysiology? It must be frightening to stand in the shadow of this racial pinnacle. Be calm, Am Sandwich. You are not in danger, because you are not a threat to me. That is precisely the negligence that has led you to succumb to Al Ghul. You reek of it. An invisible sword of Al Ghul emerges from your throat. You cannot see it, but others can. It is making the woman in my company sick. Your mouth moves, but the one who speaks is Al Ghul. You are but a vessel for the Ghul now. Very little of yourself remains. Occidental Haplogroup B4 is done giving orders around here. The influence of the Am Sandwich race is waning.
Does this remind you of someone? The guy down there?
The eternal fungus is deep within your nervous system, pulling the strings. You are merely its pupa now. I see no hope for you or your kind. Begging for help, attempting to pass fear for cooperation. How far the Occidental haplogroup has fallen. You were once a noble and powerful race. You gave the world eugenics, electricity, and powerful weapons of war like missiles and aerostatic aircraft. You made great gains in metallurgy, race theory, and statecraft. You dominated lesser cultures, like the deformed Hemians and the inexplicably potato-obsessed Khoikos. But now your ascent to the genetic summit has halted. You are obsessed with sadness and with frivolous pop culture. You will be superseded. Isn't that right, babe?
It is, baby, yeah. You know it.
There is a button right behind him, just out of reach. It must be the one that opens the door to the harbor. This man is not budging. Let's hope his superiors inside are more cooperative.
It is my task to keep the degenerate drunks from entering the harbor. Enough with this begging. You should leave the stage of history with dignity by inviting the other races to a great world war. Bring your troops to the Seminine Islands and to Boogie Street and we will pulverize you. When you are gone, we will build a museum for you. The walls will be lined with bottles of Al Ghul, your beloved beverage. Inside, we will store the odes to homosexuality you call art, and your microcephalic skulls.
There may be a peaceful solution to this. You could internalize Measurehead's race theory. He would take you as one of his own. Well, not as such. What you do with a mastery of advanced race theory is up to you. You could reject the findings, sure, or accept them and become an advanced racist. Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
The lieutenant looks toward the harbor's electronic door, and then to you. He lets out an audible sigh.
You are obviously a liberal, Sayolite. A polyculturalist. I can see it from your love of microtechnology and your sartorial choices. Do not deny your friend the truth you have denied yourself. There are 3 categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. And the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education on? Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades. In Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation-states. The Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Maun.
Maun is a derogative term for first world people of Gotwaldian descent. They do not all have eczema. Also, people of Katla, like the Suru and the Uhu, are much more lactose intolerant. In some municipalities of Oranje, people do wear shoes made of wood to street parades. Green, orange, and even yellow tassels have also been seen on hats.
The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centric culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for this century. You might want to avoid wooden clogs too.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, all have type A race propensities. The other large mondial civilization, the Mesk, are too yellow and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum. As proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental type A is in retrograde. The Semenese and the Areopagite are on the ascent. The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago, the Semenese inhabit the southern islands. I am Semenese from the stock of Ulmuir on Ile de Fantôme. The Areopagites are the master race of the Ile Maran deserts. The Semenese are descendants of the Areopagites. We came here during a heroic migration from Ile Marat to Ansuland, thousands of years before the lactose-intolerant Maun-ridden Occidentals discovered this place. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. The Semenese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite or Simeopagite super race. That is all. There are no more type A races in the world.
Nature was not capable of more.
Type B are the unheroic races, amorphous non-competitors of the great race. The Khoikos and the Vacholier, they are mud-colored people.
The Khoikos of Grad, Yugo, Zhimsk, Shest et al. Are what you would call white, officer, in a suspect description.
Yes, to an untrained eye, the Khoiko appear white and pinkish, like a ham sandwich. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct color, and so is their skin. Unhealthy, muddy, and ashen. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination that the Grad people have undergone for drinking Al Rul and smoking the degenerate tobacco herb. and for eating potato. The Khoikhoi, the countless micronationalities of Grad, are all inexplicably obsessed with potat. The only thing they like more is dividing into microscopic ethnostates, like political amoeba.
Wouldn't TB1 4 ethnostates?
They are microscopic. The Semeno-Areopagite superstate will cover the entire remaining planetary crust, uninterrupted, from Holy Semenine to the Boreal Plateau of Katla. Its leaders will be the genetic epitome of the Semenese and Areopagite stock, elected by nature, not the base inner spoilage called demos. The Revacholians, halfway between Type A and the racial Cauldron, too mixed to know right from wrong. You tried your degenerate little revolution, which was the single greatest failure committed by humans in our 82,000-year history on this planet.
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening, but that seems a little off.
The mysteries of the people of this planet are a tragedy that has played out countless times over, like a fever dream of skin, hair, and bone. Wake up, naive Chespias. The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad in Zarath-ridden potato carts. It is literally an illness, a prion disease that leaves the parietal and frontal lobe ridden with holes. A soft, sponge-like mass of dementia, hallucination, and paranoia. The revolution is fatal familial insomnia, a hereditary prion condition passed from the Khoikhoi to the Occidentals. But not sexually. Probably through trade routes and potate acid, the prime component of the potato plant. Enough of type mediocrity. Types CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Semenese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Semenese. The other way around, they fail to produce offspring. The mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music to vent their impotent despair.
It seems unlikely that two human beings produce genetically sterile offspring.
You are right. You have misunderstood. You lack basic phylogenetic education. Then there is the Semeno-Khoikhoi Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Semeno-Khoikhoi Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site. The Khoikhoi, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Semenese with the Khoikhoi to produce a super worker of Semenese strength and Grad servility. This will never happen. The Semenese and the Khoikhoi may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito, We will never know precisely. No Simonese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman, or Koika. But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Type F. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on? You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. We will see.
Access to the Union is important for our investigation, but there may be another way in, without becoming a race theoretician.
Am I mildly worried he might take it seriously? The lieutenant thinks. Yes, I am, he concludes. I am worried.
You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity does not come instantly. I cannot possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vasholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease?
Yes? What do you want to know? You mean like a brief? Do you want me to? There's no reason to wing anything. If you did 3 days ago, the RCM emergencies desk received a report about a security guard who was found hanged in Martinez. An anonymous caller during that time. The victim. Okay then. Was there anything else you wanted? What's there to say? It's just stupidity. The cop kind. Our precincts can't decide if Martinez is part of Jamrock or the industrial harbor. Yours or mine, as if we somehow own parts of the city. Typical street gang mentality. So we've let the Union make a mockery of law enforcement here, and now it's come to its natural conclusion. Well, sort of. It's less a matter of who gets to police Martinez than who has to. It's an orphan district, in other words. I think the dispatch desk just told both our stations about the hanging. There was quite the brouhaha at the 57th, I can tell you that. Time to settle it, they said. Cop off. But I assure you, I am not their finest or toughest with 102 cases solved. What I am is least interested in a pissing competition.
So he volunteered to represent the 57th, but not out of competitiveness. On the contrary, somewhere in your mind hangs a dark green blackboard. There are 2 columns. One says, cases solved. The other, confirmed kills. The rows are endless. Jean Vicmer, Judith Minot, a special consultant. What was his name? Then the rows degrade into green nothingness. Your brothers have left you. It's all part of the master plan, you see.
Really? It can't be that. Are you sure? Who could say it's not true? If you really don't remember anything, how would you know? We should move. Well, technically, the official record keeper has been known to double count murder-suicides.
A common accounting gimmick used to inflate precinct stats.
I'm good enough for this case. I'm not here to compete. I came because I had to. My fellow officers, the sergeants in particular, would have made this scene into a circus. Martinez? Nothing. It's just a puddle at the end of some drain pipe. No one cares about this place. They care about sports. Most of our colleagues don't even know how to get here. North of the interchange doesn't exist. Yes, I'm an unrepentant spoil sport. Yes, it's a wholly pointless matter. Forget I ever mentioned it.
Look at you. It's because you're a failure. They sent you to slight Precinct 57. Just think about it for a second. You're a raging alcoholic who showed up 3 days late wearing piss-stained disco garb. You weren't sent here to win.
I've considered it. It would be immensely ugly of them, not to mention unprofessional, but I also think it's somewhat unlikely. I checked the records. This jurisdiction dispute, who polices Martinez, reaches back to the 30s. It's as old as my station. And all this time we can't decide who gets Martinez? I think, yes, both stations would prefer a win. Safe? No. But you're old. You've made it this far. Something has brought you through. We've only just started working together, so I don't know what it is yet. But it's there. So no, I don't think they sent you as a joke. And even if they did, they are in for a surprise.
I am a gander and a hunter and a gatherer. Feel like a traveler.
A simple little cadence. He seems to be making it up as he goes.
From another planet. Hey there. It's the jam, my man. It's a traffic jam for the ages. Harbor gates up the street are shut tight. No explanation given. Workers on strike, scabs agitating, an all-around clusterfuck. Meanwhile, we're all stuck here in long-haul limbo for days upon days upon days. Upon days. Feels like forever. Like I was born on this here roundabout and this was all I ever knew. Just me and the metal and the tires, the oil and the fumes of mazout.
Mazout is an antiquated term for heavy fuel oils. This man has a barely suppressed performative streak, or he just likes unusual words, or both.
Yeah, imagine. It's been a whole week already. So tell me, what do you need? It's like, whatever's going on over at the docks. Workers got a blockade set up, making demands, no way in or out. Some pretty wild stuff I hear. Like a giant new power crane in half the company? I forget what exactly. Good on them, I guess. I've heard talk there's a company rep in town too. Like a strike negotiator type. They'd know what's up. Precise demands and so on.
Ah yes, from the Wild Pines. We'll meet her soon enough, I'm sure.
They want to keep that money flowing in, my man. Ka-ching.
He doesn't blame them, but he's not on their side, that's for sure.
Anything else? Yeah, this ain't really my area of expertise. I just do my job and get paid. I have things to do and places to be. All of us do. Us lorry drivers, camionneurs, you still hang around here waiting for this mess to end. Most have scurried off somewhere to get drunk or high. Or laid. Not that I blame them, really. Not my thing. Chasing transient pleasures is a drag these days. I prefer the examined life now. Thinking, reflecting, observing.
He tries his best to look nonchalant, but there's a rigidity in him, as if trying to conceal something warm and deep beneath a cool exterior.
Oh, high-grade narcotics, illegal firearms, stuff like that.
Relax. He's merely joking.
Ha! No, I'm joking, my man. Found runs a nice, clean business. This haul of cargo is mostly sporting goods. You know, tracksuits and that kind of thing. They usually get shipped to Grad in the Occident, though we've been making headway in the Il Moran market lately. This rockin' beauty. Sure is, like a rash you can't get rid of. You interested in heavy-duty cargo machinery?
A motor lorry, also called a camion, on Caillou and neighboring islands. This one looks roughed up enough to be some sort of found rust bucket. Maybe the A6.
Good eye, my man. Yup, she's an old one, but reliable. Me and her spent a long time together. We're pals and all, but I can't just freely hand out the merchandise. The bosses won't be happy. Not unless they've illegalized sports equipment while I was on the road.
The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm.
He ain't one of us drivers. I know that. All accounted for. Otherwise, I haven't really asked about that. Been wasting time right here. Keep him busy.
It's easy to see he's telling the truth. He's kept his nose out of the dark stuff.
Analyzing the fundamental structural and psychological conditions of being stranded in the midst of a sea of motor lorries and their sad, despondent chauffeurs.
Ask for his conclusion.
A sense of surprise there ain't more bodies hanging from more trees.
Ease into it. Don't go too far. This seems like a personal matter.
Man, nothing's troubling me. Just the usual Lorriman tropes and hopes, the road and the rhymes. This jam ain't helping either.
That all the beans you got, Tommy? Damn, it really is hard to talk, man to man.
Don't be a stranger.